Hi, my name is Sean Heinz, and today I'm going to show you how to take this sketch here and turn it into a vector graphic, which would be, essentially print ready for a t-shirt or something like that. Um, what I've got here is just, a very rough sketch. Obviously, I've got some doodles in here. I've got some ideas, and what I do as of my process, I'll take these sketches that I've done with photo pencils and graphic or graphite pencils. I'll go over these with tracing paper and a Sharpie. You can use whatever you want, ballpoint pen, India ink, whatever just works best for you. So with that being said, let's go to my scanned image here. What I did is I've already duplicated this, and now I'm going to, first of all, I like to go to Image, Adjustments, and I go to Desaturate. We'll make this a black and white image. We're just trying to clean this up as much as we can. So I'll come down here and I'll go to these adjustment layers. That's right over here, this little half circle kind of thing filled in. And then I'll go to levels, and we have black, gray, white. So adjusting this is going to blow out the whites, and then adjusting this will blow out the black a little bit. We can adjust the grays in between. As you see, we're not getting these shadows as much anymore. Really just trying to make sure we got these lines and we keep them clean. From there, I take it to another adjustment layer, and I go to threshold. What this does is it takes out all of the color. So this is now just a black and white. Now this is the disadvantage of using, say, an iPhone or something to take a picture of your design. You get if you blow it out too much, you have all this stuff that you'll have to clean out later. So I recommend, if you can, use an actual scanner when you're scanning your work. It just makes cleaning things up a lot easier. Fortunately, this doesn't look too bad. This is a graphic that we can work with. So what I do from there, I'll typically group this together, and then I'll duplicate that, and then merge that. So now I've got this graphic, and everything's looking pretty good. So I'm going to select the white with the magic wand tool here, and I'm going to go to select all, and then I'm going to, select similar. Where'd it go? Similar down there. Okay, and then I'm gonna hit Command or Control X, and that's gonna knock out all of the white. You can tell this by adding another color that we only have a black graphic. So with that being said, I already went ahead and pasted this graphic in. I finished the graphic, but what I'm going to do is deconstruct it a little bit. So this is our final graphic, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to hide that and pretend as if I pasted the sketch in. So now what I have here is, you notice it's a little gray, it's not black, and that's because I went to this layer, I hit this circle, and then I hit transparency. So we took it down to about 50%, whatever works for you. Doesn't really, obviously you need to be able to see it. So 2%, no good. 23, that's fine. I don't want it to be too dark because I think it'll get a little confusing. So about, 50 was good, about right there. And so yeah, and then from there I'm going to lock that layer. And then again, this is what we're going to end up with. But right now this is what I've got. So just to make things a little, just to save a little bit of time here. The tool that I want to talk about is, often kind of looked at as a scary one, and actually, I think I'm gonna do this line a little bit because it's a nice example to show when you are, when we're, it's a nice example of the tools that we're going to be using. With that being said, we're going to use the pen tool, much feared. Much respected pen tool. So what I do here is I take my first point, kind of just pick where I'm, try to follow this line as much as I can. And let's see what I've got here. So as you can see, I've got my first line. Obviously I've got to make sure it's the same color. But yeah, there we go. So what you do with that, you're going to adjust the stroke, and that's looking about right. And I can check that against my sketch. And so yeah, that's looking pretty good. So now there's a couple ways that we can do this, but the way that I want to show you is using one tool called the width tool. Right here, over in the tool panel, right here, this guy, width tool, Shift W. This will allow you to adjust the width of a stroke. So if I just did it like it is right now, like I want those ends to be, more pointed. I mean, that's, if I just change the width of those ends, it's not going to do anything. So what you have to do is basically kind of find that center point, which is, maybe about right there. And you can adjust that as you go. If something works better, if you want to add more of these, this is kind of just how I operate. I add that center point so it has something to like stop it, and then I adjust the other one, and now we've got more of a varied width stroke. So that's one way that you can do that. Another way, and I will use another tool just to show how this is done. I'll use the pencil tool. So the pencil tool, it's a little more free form than the pen tool. You kind of just click and drag your mouse, and that's kind of what you get. So this one doesn't look too bad. We're gonna adjust that stroke again. And this doesn't have to be spot for spot. You can adjust these points. It doesn't have to look exactly like the artwork that you've got. Something that I like to do is come over here to Object. I go to Path, and I go to Simplify. Sometimes it cleans up your strokes a little bit. It makes it a little bit smoother. Alternatively, you can use the Smooth tool, which is not going to do anything right now because it's so it'll make it a little, it'll adjust it and make it a little smoother than what we previously had. So again, too, we want to get this varied line width. So what I'll do is I will go to Object, Expand, and that'll turn this into a shape. So before we would adjust the stroke, now we're going to actually adjust this shape. So as you can see, I've got points here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add another point. You can hit the plus sign, or you can go over here and hold this button and go down to the Add Anchor Point tool. So when you go down there, I added an anchor point to the middle of this, and then there we go. Now I've got this point. So that's not bad, but you have to adjust these other points, these other handles, and that's exactly what I've done there. And that looks kind of good. It's okay. Not bad. But another tool that you could use in order to create more of a just another way to add your lines is this blob brush tool. It's actually really nice. I can pull up this sketch a little bit, and then I was like, I kind of like this a little bit, kind of something like that. That just kind of adds to your current shape. And then again, you can adjust all kinds of points however you like to do it. That's a little rough, but for the sake of time, I'm just gonna move on. Hopefully, that method of adding the points and tweaking the anchors, hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. And so yeah, we've got our shape coming to fruition here. Further from that, we've got let's see, we've done the pen tool, done the pencil tool, and just another way to do this as well, if you feel more comfortable doing this, like before I showed how to, we'll just make this a stroke, and we'll just fill that stroke, and that's fine. That works right here. I think a little mix of everything is kind of the way to go, but don't be afraid to just trace this shape. So I'm just going to follow this with the pen tool. I put my point there, and I kind of look for my next point. Again, I've deconstructed this. It's a little different, but there we go. I've got my first point. A lot of times I like to use a stroke if I'm making a shape like this. That way, like I kind of just had, you can't really see your lines there. So I'll leave that open. I'll leave that with the stroke, and then kind of work my way around so I can just see a little bit better. So once I'm done, I've got this shape, and that's filled in. So starting to come together further. And you're constantly just kind of looking and changing things and, you know, figuring out where your best points are and things like that. So that's kind of fixed up, you know. I could fix that, but you know, it's not the end of the world right now, just for the sake of showing things. And then let's see, we did blob brush a little bit. I'll do the blob brush again, because like right here, you know, I've got this, let's say I wanted more of this shape. So I just created an ellipse using the ellipse tool. That is L, that's a shortcut. And so here I go. You know, obviously there's a couple things I could do there, but that skull's not going to have a perfect circle in there. So you can drag these shapes, these anchor points around, but still you don't really get that, you know, that shape that you wanted, that more organic shape. It's less than perfect. Obviously eye socket's not going to be that perfect. So go back to the blob brush over here. You know, the paintbrush tool might be activated, but if you hold that down, go to the blob brush and just kind of work that in there, and then you'll get your more, you know, a little bit more of an organic shape. And right here I'm doing the same thing. I'm just painting, really painting. Yeah, and you can fill that in same way. And if you decide that you don't like that, it's like, it's kind of a weird shape, you can always just use the eraser tool and you can fill out that shape a little bit better. Now that's separated because I went through it, and we've got something kind of resembling what it should. The big thing here is, again, there's no right way to do it. You know, you can use the pen tool exclusively, you can use the pencil tool, you can use all of these things, or you can use one or the other, whatever you really want to do. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I would like to show off, any other tools that would be useful. Maybe, yeah, okay, so we can also show Pathfinder. So all of these tools can be found if you go to Window, and then down here is Pathfinder. I have these set up in certain panels of things that I use a lot. I've got hotkeys for them, but you know, for the most part, you know, you need swatches, the align panel. This is all going to be found in Windows, in the window menu. So what I'm going to do here, because obviously this should not be black, it should be full, or I'm sorry, it should be empty. I'm going to create another shape, and I'm just going to use the pencil tool. So what I'm going to do, I'm kind of going to just wing this, see how I like it. And it doesn't really matter what color it's going to be. I mean, if you want to do it white just so you can see, that's fine. And I'm okay with that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, I've got this white box here. Notice if I take this blue box, well, we can't see inside that. It's not, you know, that shape is just not there. So what I do here, I take this white box, this black box that I want to be transparent, or you know, just change the shape here, come over to shape modes, and this one in particular right here, minus front, this is going to subtract this shape from this shape, and as you see that, there you go. So that's helpful when you're coloring. One last thing that I would like to show is this version of essentially how I colored this. So again, here is kind of like that, you know, the finished product and all of that. But you know, coloring can be just as simple as grabbing the pencil tool. I take that and I kind of just go freeform with it. You know, you kind of just you know, figure that out as you're going, where your colors need to be, and just send that to the back, and then you've got a pretty full composition. And again, this is something that just comes with practice. It comes with time, and you know, you get a better feel for it, and eventually, you know, you can learn to kind of get these colors separated on their own layer and their own group, and you know, this is essentially a print-ready t-shirt design. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and yeah, best of luck.